And glad you mentioned Lightning because I hear about it sometimes, but I never know what's actually happening. And so I'd love to go a little bit deeper into stacks because you're trying to provide potentially DeFi in this Bitcoin protocol and potentially even NFTs and metaverse plays, I'm guessing, if that's what's here. What does the future potentially look like for stacks?
Yeah, let me go over these topics. So I think I had some recent tweet threads that got a fair amount of attention, which were really addressing this topic of maximalism. And I was actually pointing out some logical flaws in the thinking of maximalism. Like let me bring out a few of them because I think they'll be interesting for the audience. So a lot of the thinking in the maximalist crowd is that Bitcoin is going to become the reserve currency of the world. It's like almost like everyone's like on board. Yes, Bitcoin is going to become the reserve currency of the world. The interesting thing about a reserve currency is that that's the asset against which other things trade. US dollar is the reserve currency because everything trades against that, right? And Bitcoiners they don't even like to have other assets, right? Like you need to have other assets so that those assets can actually trade against Bitcoin. It actually helps Bitcoin if there are a lot of liquid markets and trading happening against Bitcoin, because that's how you become a reserve currency of anything, right? So it's a little bit of a logical fallacy when you're like, I want Bitcoin to be the reserve currency, and at the same time, I want Bitcoin to be the only asset. How can it be both, right? You have to pick one. And if you have to pick, Bitcoin is far more valuable as the reserve currency than as the only asset, because then you're trying to shrink the economic pie. If you're saying that other types of assets should not exist, I think there should be a ton of different types of assets, but they should trade against Bitcoin, which is not the direction the world is heading in. Because if you look at the early stages of crypto, most of the trading activity used to happen against the BTC pair. Slowly, that has actually started shifting to stable coins like Tether and even other systems like ETH and others. And I think that's like a missed opportunity for Bitcoin. You are already the number one trading pair, and you're actually losing market share. And if you basically embrace decentralized exchanges, if you embrace this idea of trading against Bitcoin is actually a good thing, and actually actively work towards it, that would be good for Bitcoin, right?
Yeah,
So
that's a really good point. And just on that same note, we saw El Salvador, make Bitcoin an official currency, but the common thing has been said. The problem is no one wants to sell their Bitcoin, and so you've got a mentality around this kind of hodl till we die. And like you said, but we also want to be the reserve currency, but those philosophies don't mix, as you said. And so until you get someone that's comfortable buying and selling this currency, then something else will step in. Like you said, USDT, USDC, ETH, and these will become the more liquid pairs. And now you've, like you said, missed this opportunity because you're stuck in maybe this old school, Satoshi 13 mentality. So I'm really glad you called that out.
Yeah, and I think similarly, this idea of like, hey, Bitcoin is valuable. Obviously, it's valuable. I don't want to sell my Bitcoin, but at the same time, I would love to draw loans against my Bitcoin, or I would love to lend my Bitcoin in a secure manner and actually earn a yield on it, right? And this is something that Bitcoiners are aligned with the idea that, oh, wouldn't it be great if instead of selling my Bitcoin, I could just get a loan against it, and then basically my Bitcoin keeps going up in value and I can repay the loan, or I lend it to somebody and I earn a yield on it. You have to embrace technologies like stacks for this to happen, because devs are literally building these things on stacks. Like there are decentralized lending applications. There is already a decentralized stablecoin where you could do a native Bitcoin swap and you can put BTC collateral and mint a stablecoin, right? This is like exactly what we have built. And I think that's where, again, this is a little bit of a fallacy, that you cannot be both pro these ideas and then hate the technologies that are giving you literally those applications, right? So you have to pick one. And I think that's where I feel like that's the reason why so many Bitcoiners are converting over, because I think they're intelligent people. At some point, they realize that they've just been stuck in a thought bubble, and they've been almost like, in some ways, hearing the same arguments over and over again. It's like at some point it becomes like a religious cult, right? Because they go to every podcast is a little bit like going to church. Like they're just hearing the same things over and over again. And what you want is independent thinking. What you want is truth seeking. That here is logically what makes sense, regardless of whatever thought bubble ideas you've been exposed to over the past 2-3 years. And I feel very confident that a lot of people will be able to break out of it, because we are seeing evidence that people break that.